Hi boys and girls, I'm back with more realistic fiction and we are getting so close to publishing and I cannot wait to hear your finished products. But what Millie and I would like to do today is go through your draft and look at it with a rubric and see what we need to do to add on before we start publishing it next week. So I might make, this is the rubric I've given you. Now, if you can get a close look, there's one up here at the top, says developing. So if we get any developing areas, we might want to say, oh, let's add in some more here. 2 is proficient. That means, yeah, I did it. It might not be the best, but it is in there. And 3 is strong. Okay, so what I'm going to do today, I'm going to go get myself a marker. I am so sorry for not being prepared. What we're going to do today is we're going to go through my story and see if it has all of these things. It's going to kind of hard to see, but if you have yours in front of you, maybe you can go through and look at it as we go. The first one is story elements. So if you start always here at proficient, then we know, yes, I have that, and then we move on to the 3, the strong, to see if we have it strong. So where I have to start, it says 2 says, my story includes most story elements, character, setting, problem, choice, solution. Most are believable and realistic. Now, I definitely think my story and your story probably have that because we used our story arc. And so if your story arc was filled and you put that into your piece, then yes, we're proficient at that. If you included all the story elements, then that would mean that you are strong. I'm guessing you included all the story elements because we used a graphic organizer. So I'm gonna mark me as a 3. Think about your story right now. Do you have all the story elements? If you do, then you can mark yourself as a 3 also. Okay, I'm gonna move you up a little bit so it's easy to see. All right, next is the lead. My beginning tries to grab the reader's attention. Now, once again, I know in our lessons, we did experimenting with catchy leads. This one was Caroline's. So I'm guessing that most of you tried to grab the reader's attention. My beginning grabs the reader's attention and makes him or her want to read the whole story. Now, I don't know because I'm the writer of my story, so you can give me a thumbs up if you think, yes, it made you want to keep reading as I was trying to hold on to the tow rope and it was the sound. Or if you're like, you tried, Mrs. Gunther, but I'd be okay not reading it. And then you could tell me, do you think I'm a 2 or do you think I'm a 3? All right. I'm going to give myself a 2 because I tried. I don't know how it went. All right, overcome challenges. Next is the theme. So the second proficient says, I wrote about a character who overcomes a challenge. My character was Penelope, and did she overcome a challenge? I definitely think she did. She overcame the challenge of learning how to snowboard, and she showed perseverance within that, right? She was ready to give up. So that would be a 2. She definitely overcame a challenge. Let's look at the 3. I wrote about a character who overcomes a challenge and learns an important lesson. I think Penelope learned a lesson. I think she learned to never give up. All right, dialogue and description. So the 2 says, I use description and dialogue. There are some scenes that could be described more. Okay, so I probably could do that because I told you how I could describe my chalet a little bit better, or maybe the bunny hill, Or I could circle, I use lots of description and just enough natural sounding dialogue. You don't want too much dialogue that it doesn't sound natural, right? So I would say I'm kind of in the middle. I'm in between a 2 and a 3. Think about where you are with your dialogue and description. Here's the show, not tell. It says, I use show, not tell in some scenes. I showed the main character traits and feelings throughout the whole story. I definitely think I showed Penelope's traits about the whole story using show, not tell. Not only Penelope's, but I also used her dad's, even her grandpa's, right? Well, him cheering on the way. So I would give myself a 3 there. Word choice. My story uses some descriptive language, powerful verbs, strong adjectives, and sensory language. Or my story is jam-packed with them all. I think I'm just giving myself a 2 there. I'm trying my best to pack them all in, but I probably could have done a little bit better. Tense. I mostly use the past tense throughout the story. There may be a few switches between past and present. This is a tricky one that mom or dad might have to help you go through and see. I use the past tense consistently throughout the story. I think I would have to read through mine and make sure, but I think I use mostly past tense. So I'm going to give myself a 3 there. Point of view. Now this is where this on this page is different. It says point of view. Now, I taught you the first person point of view. This is asking you about third person. So I'm going to change it to I used first person throughout. And if you use first person throughout, pretending you were the main character, and you use the word I and we, then you can circle it. Okay? If you did some third and some first, then you can give yourself a 2. Now, I know I use first person throughout the whole thing, and sometimes I almost use my own name because I was so into Penelope as the character. So make sure you know that that's first person point of view, not third. All right, and then the last thing, edit spelling. So today, if you have all of these things and you don't have any ones, then you're good with that. And we have to focus on editing. So this one, you need to check your spelling. You need to check your capitalization. When there's a period, do you have a capital afterwards? Are the names capital? If there's a name of a place, if she went to McDonald's, is McDonald's capital? Okay, so you need to go through and check spelling. I definitely think I have them spelled correctly. I capitalize the beginning of all sentences and proper nouns and I, because remember we use first person, so you'll have a lot of I's in there. I use the correct end mark at each of the sentences and commas when needed. I use commas when we were talking about what Grandpa wore and how he wore a helmet, he wore knee pads, he wore wrist guards. So I had my list of commas in there also. So I definitely use the proper, if I asked a question, I used a question mark. And when you have dialogue, punctuation is also the quotation marks. If you need somebody to help you edit yours, you can always Google Meet Me or have mom or dad help you, or an older brother or sister help you too. And then paragraphing. Now, did you paragraph correctly? Every time a different character speaks, there's a paragraph break. Now, Mrs. Gunther probably did not do it all perfectly, right? Because we're just learning paragraphs. So I paragraph most parts correctly. I forgot to start a new paragraph every time a character speaks. Or maybe every time like something happens, like when I go to lunch, did I start a new paragraph? Or when I came back from dinner, did I start a new paragraph? So I'm going to give myself a 2 for the paragraphs. But see if you do have some of the paragraphs correct. All right? So here's my rubric. I'm going to go through and make sure I'm at 2 or 3 in all of those sections. And if not, I'm going to go through and I'm going to make sure my I is capital. There's my capital D. There's my period. Here's another capital. There's a comma. So I'm going to go through with me, if you Google Meet Me, or with a brother or an older sister or a mom or a dad that's not working, or on your own. You are so capable of sitting down and going through your rubric and checking these things to make sure we have them. You can even use a marker to underline, like, yes, I have the show not tells, or get a red pen and mark all your capitals and fix them all to make sure they're capital. And a different color pen to maybe do your punctuation. So I definitely think you could do that independently also, because you guys are almost third graders. If you have any questions, feel free to Google Meet Me. And once this is done and this is done, put it together, because next week we are going to publish our piece. So I can't wait, and I hope you had a good week.